And after you leave a like, remember to smash the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet. And remember to hit the notification bell so every time I post a video, you can know right away. Subscribe, 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 subscribe.
What's up, my YouTube friends? If you're subscribers, everybody, welcome back to another banger motivational video. And the topic for today is self-awareness. That's what I will be discussing. So, with that being said, is self-awareness is you have to be aware of everything about you, which means you have to be aware of your presence, how you think, your actions, your strength, and your weaknesses. Because that's been broken down in, like, say, different ways of yourself, because a lot of people have no idea of what they're doing. I don't know how people are not aware of their own actions and how it will affect them. So with that being said, is whenever you make a decision, you have to think about how it will affect tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, when a lot of people make decisions, I don't think they think it all the way through to say, oh, if I do this today, then how will it be tomorrow? You know what I mean? So some people are unaware of making decisions for tomorrow, like their future goals. Because how you get up and ruin your whole life today and think tomorrow is going to be better? No, like, life doesn't work like that. Because you have to say, make a decision and say, I hope I don't destroy my life tomorrow. Because like I said, bro, a lot of people is unaware when they do stuff. I don't know if they pretend to be unaware or if they're really unaware. Because me, I've seen people say and do stuff, and then I sit down and wonder if they didn't think about it before they do it. Maybe they blacked out, or maybe they don't. But you have to be aware of whatever it is pertaining to you. So first off, you have to be aware of your own thinking. If you can't control your own mind and you're in somebody else's control, you will lose every time, because you have to be aware of how you think, how you speak. And let me tell you something. Most times people mix up being disrespected and feeling disrespect, because, like, there's different ways. Because a person can say something to you, like, so, like, it's like how they say it. They always say, oh, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and blah 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 nonsense, garbage, garbage, garbage. Not the point. So a person can say whatever they want to you, but you will decide how that makes you feel based off if you're triggered by it. Because a person can come and joke with you, but if you're triggered by it, you're gonna think you were disrespected, but that person was not being disrespectful. You know what I mean? So there's different ways. You have to control how you feel. Like, you don't control how what you don't control what others say. That's something we don't control. But what we do control is how we feel when somebody says stuff to us. You have to be aware of your weaknesses, of your triggers, of whatever may affect you to be broken down emotionally or mentally. Because people always say, oh, everyone is being disrespectful. No, it's what you're triggered by. And I've made a small TikTok about this couple months ago. Yeah, I think a couple months ago. But it's saying, like, it's what you're triggered by. A lot of people fail to understand this, and they keep on saying, oh, you keep on bringing up this and you keep on bringing up that and you keep on being disrespectful. No, no, no. That person's not being disrespectful, because guess what? That person may not know that you're triggered by it. So that's you feeling disrespected because it's something you're triggered by. Notice, a person can say the same thing to five different people, but out of the five, two is gonna feel like they got disrespected, and the person can say it with the same tone, but the other three are not triggered by it, so they won't feel like they were disrespected, so they won't think the person's disrespectful. So it's what you're triggered by. You have to control that. You know what I mean? You have to be aware of your, say, weaknesses, what you can't do, what you can't make happen, how you are in bad situations. Because number one, if you're doing something, there's always, if you're trying to do something positive, there's always negative. Because if you're trying to do something good, there's always bad that comes with the good. But you have to be able to focus on the positive side of things and not the negative side of things. Because if you focus on the negative side of things, you can't, say, fulfill the positive side. You know what I mean? So you have to be aware of what may happen, like I said, when you're making a decision, when you're doing something, when you're taking actions. Because a lot of people take actions and they make decisions, but they don't think about what can happen after they make that decision. And I always say, You have to be very careful when you make a decision, because some decisions you make today will definitely determine your future tomorrow. And sometimes when you make a decision, it change your life. Like a lot of decisions change people's life forever. You know what I mean? So you have to be very careful whenever you make a decision. And when you take action towards a future goal or something, you have to be extremely cautious, because most people will get up and they say, "Oh, I want to start this," but when they start, they're like, "Oh, it's more difficult than what it's supposed to be." You have to be aware. You have to think, even if you can't think all the way through, you have to focus on the positive side before you give up. Remember why you started. That's self-awareness. You have to be aware of your own presence, your own mental state, your own happiness. Like, stop searching for validation from others. You have to be aware of your strength, what you can do, what you can make happen, because everything about us is broken down in different ways. If you got strength, there's always weaknesses that comes with the strength. Sorry. But the point is, you have to focus on your strength and your weaknesses. We don't control what we're weak at, but what we do control is how we can make our weaknesses better, like how you can flip it, because not like we're not perfect and not everybody can do everything. Those who seem like they're extremely intelligent or extremely talented or skilled, that's because they focus on their strength. That's their strength. They're not focused on what they can't do, because I'm a very smart guy, but I don't know nothing about welding or mechanic. You know what I mean? So we're all different in our own different ways. And I already know I'm not good at mechanic. I didn't want to become a mechanic nor a welder. So why would I go there to waste my time trying to figure it out? You know what I mean? Even though I probably can figure it out and learn as I go, but I'm not going to use my brain cells to do that. So not the point. You have to be aware of your actions, of your strength, of your presence, of your own mindset. You have to know how you think. Stuff that triggers you, your weaknesses, what you can't do. You have to be fully aware of it, because if you don't, you're going to be sitting down miserable, blaming everybody else for what's wrong with you. And that's what's going on in today's life, especially say in friendships or in relationships. People that are unaware of their own actions, they do stuff and then they blame everybody else because they don't. I don't know if they don't see themselves doing it, or I don't know what the point may be, not my business. But when you make a decision, when you take actions towards something, you have to know. Focus on what you can do, focus on what you can make happen. Because if you invest your time focusing on your weaknesses, then you can't develop your strength. Because all of us, like I've said, we're both good at something and we're bad at something. If you focus on what you're bad at and what you can't make happen, you won't have enough time to develop your strength and what you're good at. So with that being said, is especially your emotions. You have to know how to control your emotions. You have to know what triggers your emotions. And do not let somebody get the best of you. You have to be aware of everything about you. I don't know how, like, most people have no idea. Maybe because they don't know themselves, but you have to spend time trying to get to know yourself. I'm not saying you have to go crazy, like hold a full conversation with yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to know what you're driven by, because we're all driven in different areas. We're driven by talent, we're driven by skills, we're driven by natural intelligence. Where everyone is different, everyone is driven in their own different way. So you have to figure out what you're good at, what you're driven by, because you don't have to be talented in order to be rich. You can be skillful, because no matter what you're driven by, whether intelligence, talent, or skill, we still have to work in order to be successful. Because number one, talent, like I've said, will eventually get you in the game faster than those who are skill or natural intelligent. But we all still gotta work. Some gotta work harder than some, because they're not, say, talented. They can't sing, they can't dance, they can't, say, edit stuff. They are not YouTuber. You know what I mean? So that's why some people end up becoming, say, business owners, because they want to be successful, not famous. You know what I mean? So there's different things about us that you have to know which one you're driven by. And if you have no idea of what you're driven by, your life may be twice harder than what it needs to be. And then you're sitting down, scrolling through social media, looking at everybody else living their best life. And then you're wondering why you can't do it. That's because you don't know who you are. You have no idea what you're driven by. And you lack self awareness because you know nothing about yourself. And then you're searching for yourself within somebody else, which in fact, that's okay to search for yourself within somebody else. Because, like I've always said, like when we meet people or we watch, say, movies, we always see someone in the show or whatever, and then we like that character, and then we observe it. That's how you find yourself. Sometimes that's how you can find yourself. So you have to be aware of, say, who you really are, and until you know who you really are, things will flow according to how it's supposed to flow. And then if you have self-awareness, then you will have self-control, and once you got self-control and self-discipline, you will have self-confidence. So if you lack all those stuff, then you truly do not know who you are. You, instead of you trying to say make thousands of friends, how about you sit down and use that time to know who you really are? Because people are, say, attached to those who seem like they know who they are, and those who seem like they can make stuff happen. So if you're that type of person where you don't feel like no one is gravitating to you, that's because there's nothing about you that they need to be gravitated to, because you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're doing. So with that being said, is you can't pretend to be somebody else. You can't try to be somebody else, because it will never work. Over time, it will catch up, and everyone will know the real from the fake. Like, it's easy to spot the fake, and it's easy to spot what's real. So with that being said, is self-awareness. You have to have that. You have to spend time, try to get to know who you are. I don't know why a lot of people refuse to know who they are. Like, a lot of people think, oh, I don't have to know who I am. I can cook, I can play soccer, I can do this, I can do that. So let's not worry about me. Let's go worry about somebody else. No, this is why when you go in friendships, there's a lot of problem, because you lack self awareness. You don't know what triggers you, and then especially if you're in school, and say something happened to you, none of your schoolmates know about whatever happened. Let's say you have problems with your siblings, like you're always fighting with your siblings or whatever the case may be, and then you go to school, and then somebody probably say something to you trying to hurt you, but they don't know what can hurt you unless they can see that all your emotions is scattered all over the place, because people will say different things to see what you're triggered by. So let's say your parents had a divorce, or your parents broke up when you were younger, and you go to school, and then someone's going to say, oh, that's why your mom is like single, or that's why your dad is single, or your parents walked out on you, or whatever the case may be. Somebody don't know about that. Like, your whole school don't know about that, but somebody probably will try to put pieces together and say, oh, this or that. Or even if they know, even if it's true, you have to know how to control your emotions and know what makes you break down and what you're triggered by, because that's a sign of weakness. And when people detect your weakness, they will play on your weaknesses to try to control you, to try to keep you down in order to prevent you from rising up, because you don't know what triggers you. And until you know, like, your weaknesses and what triggers you and what make you break down emotionally, it's harder for you to control it, because you do not know what you're triggered by. You do not know what people can say that affect you. You know nothing about yourself. That's why when people say anything that they want, especially if you're arguing with someone and they keep saying the same thing, that's because they know it's hurting you. So until you know how to deal with your weaknesses and not let it get the best of you, then they can't hurt you, because you control how you control how you feel when someone is talking to you. A person may try their best to disrespect you, but if they keep saying stuff and it's not, say, affecting you, then they will eventually stop, because they will notice that they said 10 things already and you're still standing firm. Even if deep down you want to knock them over, like, it's okay. But if they see a shift, of weakness, then they will keep pushing. Notice when you're arguing with someone and they keep going back and forth, if you're not, say, breaking down, they will eventually stop. If they keep talking, and then you know, like, whether you're arguing back or you're saying nothing, you notice they always stop and leave you alone, because they notice that what they're saying is not affecting you. And when people notice, like, what can affect you, because let me tell you something, if a person is trying to get to you, they won't focus on your strength. That's not what they're looking for. They want to know what your weaknesses is, because they want to be able to get the best of you. And if you lack self-awareness and you do not know how to control your weaknesses and what you're triggered by, a person may play on your weaknesses to try to control you in order to make I was about to say control, but the best word is to manipulate you. So you don't even notice that you're being manipulated, because when, say, we're like, our weaknesses, when we're weak, we're basically at our lowest. So when you're at your lowest, you can't even think, you're not even focusing on your strength. That's how people can swoop in your life and, say, get the best of you and destroy everything and leave you permanently damaged. That's why, because you do not know your weaknesses. And if a person know what you're triggered by, they will eventually use that and try to control you and make decisions for you. And then even if you say you're trying to get rid of them, they will keep on bringing it up, because you do not know how to control your weaknesses. So with that being said, is, like I said, you have to know what your weaknesses is, and you have to maneuver your weaknesses. I'm not saying your weaknesses will become strength, but it's better when you know how to deal with your weaknesses, and it's better when you know how to deal with what you're triggered by. That way people can't get the best of you and they can't get to you. So no matter how much they try to, say, disrespect you, or they try to have the best of you, they can't, because you know how to control your emotions. That's one of the reasons why people will play on your emotions and get the best of you and try to control you or eventually use you. And then when you make a bad decision and you take the wrong action, you destroy your whole life. And then guess what? That person left already. And then you're sitting down there wondering, oh, why did I do this, or why did I do that? Because you're not aware of what's happening. You're not aware of what you're doing. That's the reason why. If you lack self-awareness, your life is going to be harder than what it needs to be, because you're doing stuff and people are playing with your weaknesses, and then you can't see what you're doing. That, like, I don't even know. Bro, I just said all of that without taking a breath. I just noticed that, but scrap that. I'm serious right now. But you have to be fully aware of what you're doing. And in order to develop your, say, self-awareness, you have to, say, know how you think. That's the first step. Well, the first step is knowing who you are. The first step is always knowing who you are. But for self-awareness, you have to figure out, say, your mentality, like how you think, what you're driven by, and then your strength, and then you take actions towards what you're, say, driven by. Because, like I've said, we all can sing, we all can be YouTubers, but there's something in you that you're driven by. You may not know it because you didn't take the time out to figure out who you are. And bro, like I said, people that have no idea who they are, they're the ones, like, at the bottom. Notice when you get serious about your life goals, notice, you if you say you got, say, a lot of friends, the moment you decide to get serious and you start going up, you start losing all those people, because guess what? You won't have the time to hang around with them anymore because you got serious. So, like I've said, you have to be aware of what you're doing. If you're unaware of what you're doing, your life will be a mess. So, a lot of, like, look at all those, say, homeless people. Like, I'm not gonna say talk about, say, homeless people, because, like, not a lot of homeless people are, say, uh drug addicts, because, like, most of them just, say, mess themselves up and their parents don't want it. Like, homeless people literally have nowhere to go. Let's say drug addicts. Yeah, drug addicts, let's say them. Like, the way how they carry themselves, I don't know if they're aware of how they carry themselves, or not, but that's, like, say, not the point. But if you use them as an example, they keep doing it and doing it and doing it, not knowing that they mess their own brain cells up. And then even if they decide to, say, get clean and, like, clean themselves up, guess what? They already messed their brain cells up. That's why it's hard for most people to make decisions. And if you're not, say, self-motivated, then you don't have that drive to keep yourself in order. And if you lack self-discipline, also you can't discipline yourself to keep yourself in order. So it doesn't really matter, say, whatever choices you make or where you're from. Like, you have to be aware of everything what you're doing. Like I've said, one decision could turn your life sideways. Like, you can get up and you can say, you know what, you're focusing on this and you're focusing on that. You probably go, say, pick up drinking or smoking or drugs or whatever the case may be. And then it depends on the type of character that you are. I'm not saying drinking and smoking is bad, but I say that depends on the type of person. Well, drugs is bad because anything you sniff up your nose and it affects your brain, that'll literally mess you up. But I'm gonna say drinking and smoking. So if you say you could become a drinker and a smoker, I'm not saying like it's bad and it's gonna ruin your life, because I don't think those stuff ruin your life. I think what ruin people's life is the type of character that they are. Because I'm a social drinker and I've seen others drink and they ruin their whole life. You know what I mean? So it's sort of depending on the person. You have to be aware of what you're doing. Let's say you go to a bar and you know you're a lightweight and you are fully aware that if you drink, say, 6 or 7 shots, you're going to be drunk and you can't drive yourself home. Why would you be out in public drinking 8 or 9? How are you going to get home? You know what I mean? So that being said, is some people are aware, but they refuse to take actions to say, you know what, I gotta drive myself home. Instead of taking 8 where I'm gonna be drunk and I don't know myself, let me just take, say, 3 or 4 shots and have a buzz and then have a good time. No, you got some people that literally go out and drink and black out and have no idea of like where they're gonna wake up the next day. You have to be fully aware of whatever you're doing, like how it affects you. You have to be aware. Because if you're going somewhere, like, especially if you're the driver and you drive yourself there, whether your friends are in the car with you or not, and they probably don't have license, like, if you're just, even if you're going out to the bar by yourself to say, have a couple of drinks and then come back home, why would you drink to the point where you can drive yourself home? Like, who is gonna drop you home? You know what I mean? Like, some people, I don't know. Like, I can't figure it out. Like some people know like stuff will affect them, and some people know that they're lightweight, but they still go above and beyond. I don't know if they want to prove that they're lightweight. I don't know, the case may be, not the problem. But you have to know what affects you and how it affects you, because that's a lack of self-awareness, because you know fully that you're a lightweight, and you know fully if you drink too much you can't drive yourself home, but guess what, you still went to the bar and you still drink, and then you can't drop yourself home. Then you lose your wallet, you lose your keys, you don't know where nothing is. Like, that's lack of self-awareness, because even if you know, that's a lack of self-awareness, because you shouldn't be doing it. And depending on the type of people and friends that you got, because like your friends will eventually show the type of character that you are, because people put themselves around things that they're interested in. That's also a part of self-awareness. You have to be aware of the type of people you put yourself around, because if you put yourself around the wrong set of people, then that can, say, affect your growth. Because if you're trying to do something, you should put yourself around people that, say, on the same road as you, or trying to figure out what they're doing the same as you. If you keep yourself around people like, say, at the bottom, you won't be able to move forward. And then if you're trying to like rise, and then all these people at the bottom are saying stuff about you, you have to be able to control what triggers you. Because if you got, say, friends that you grew up with and they're always at your house, they know what you're triggered by. That's why, say, when you're trying to do something, that's why people will eventually play on your weaknesses, because they know that's your weaknesses. If you ever sit down and wonder why you and your ex-friend always having arguments and they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, that's because they know what you're triggered by. That's why they keep saying it, because they want to hurt you, they want to stop you from rising. That's why. So if you never know then you know now. Because if you got friends, like, say, close friends, and they like friends that you hang out with, and then you guys are no longer friends, they know your weaknesses. They're not gonna sit down and focus on, oh, you can do this and you can do that. They're not focusing on your strengths, because your strengths don't matter. They're focusing on your weaknesses. Because when people know your weaknesses, They know how to get to you because, like I said, if you're aware of what you're triggered by and your weaknesses, you can always put up, say, a brick wall when someone is talking to you because you know how to control yourself and you know how to control your emotions so they can't get the best of you. But if you don't, they'll eventually start nudging and nudging and nudging every time. Anytime there's a disagreement, they keep bringing the same thing up because they know that that's the only way that they can hurt you. That's why they keep on saying it, because that's what they're trying to do, hurt you, trying to stop you from moving forward. So you have to develop your self-awareness. I was about to say do not focus so much on your strength, but no, you need to focus on your strength. But I would say focus on your strength and learn how to deal with your weaknesses. Learn how to control your triggers, because people will eventually get the best of you if you let them get the best of you. And if you lack self-awareness, you're unaware of what everything that you're doing, your life will eventually be harder than what it needs to be. So if you ever sit down and wonder why everything is always happening to you and everything is this and everything is that and you can't do this and you can't do that, that's because you're unaware of what's happening and you don't know who you are. And if you have no idea of who you are, bro, your life is gonna be difficult. So if your life is already difficult and you're saying not even 30, that's probably why, because you need to be figuring out who you are, what you can do, what you can't do. You need to know who you are. You have to be fully aware of who you are and the mentality that you got, and then try to figure out how you can move forward. So if you're not at that stage yet, then I'm afraid it's going to be harder than what it needs to be, especially if you're in your 20s and you still don't know who or what you are. Then yeah, that's just basically how it is. So my advice to you is you have to develop your self-awareness. You have to be fully aware of everything of what you're doing, and the first step is learning how to control your mind. You have to know your mindset. You have to know everything about you. I'm not saying, oh, you got to know your name, you got to know your date of birth, you got to know your gender, you got to know which school you go to, you got to know. No, no, I'm not talking about that. You got to know what make you happy, what you're interested in, what you don't like, what you like. You have to know, like, these type of stuff. You have to know. You have to know about yourself. If you don't know nothing about yourself, that's why you keep put. That's no, sorry. When I say you, that sound like I'm talking about you that's watching me. But no, that's why people put themselves in, say, around different group of friends, because they do not know what they like. They don't know nothing about themselves. So until you know more about yourself, then you will know the type of people to put yourself around. If you know who you are, it's better you be alone, because you can be alone and not lonely. Like, being alone and not lonely is you enjoy your own company, and being alone and lonely is you need company because you don't enjoy your own company. So it's better you be alone instead of putting yourself, wait, I said that wrong. Instead of, it's better you be alone if you don't see the type of, say, people that you're interested in, and you can't put yourself around them because you didn't meet them yet, you didn't see them yet. But it's better you be alone instead of forcing yourself in, say, different group of friends that you're not interested in. That's going to ruin your life. So my advice to you is better you be alone, keep working on yourself, be alone until those people come across. Because let me tell you something, you see, when you're working on yourself and you're, say, working in an area, you will sooner detect people in the same area as you. Because, say, if you're, say, doing something, if you're not doing nothing, then you won't notice anything. But as soon as you start doing something, then you'll start to notice people that in the same field as you. Even if you say you want to do something, or you say you like it and you think that you might be interested in it, then you'll notice others doing it. Because we only notice people doing stuff that we're interested in. If someone is doing something that we're not interested in, then it's harder for you to notice what they're doing. Notice, it's when you say you want to start doing something or you're interested in, that's when you notice others doing the same thing. And I can testify to that. So my advice to you, it's better you stay alone instead of put yourself around people that's doing, say, stuff you're not interested in and ruin your own life. Because if you do something like that, that's also you aware that you might ruin your life, and you do it anyways. Because like some people are aware but they still do it anyway. I don't know why, but not the point. You have to be fully aware, because it's not because it's until you decide to start something you're interested in, that's when you will detect people doing the same thing. I'm telling you, that's how you will know. Like some people can be doing the same thing for a long time and you probably see them. But you're not, say, paying attention because you're not interested in, or you wasn't as interested, so you didn't even know that that person was doing whatever they were doing until you're interested, and then you're like, you know what? I think I may like this. That's when you start to like see people doing the same thing. Because you will never see, bro. I'm telling you, you will not see them because you're not focusing on that. So it doesn't matter if that person is in front of you every day doing the same thing. You're not, say, you wasn't as interested, so you're not paying attention. But until you want to make the move forward, that's when you will be interested in. And let me say it one more time. It's better you be alone and keep working on yourself and wait until you come across the right people, because you don't want to be working on yourself and then all of a sudden you put yourself around the wrong set of people, then they steer you in the wrong way. You know what I mean? Because like, I'm telling you, if you do not know who you are and you're using others to trying to figure out who you are, it's a 50% chance you will lose. You know why? Because you have to be around everybody else trying to do what they're interested in. Then what about you? You have to be aware of your own interests. So until you know what you're interested in, you have to be alone. It's better you be alone and wait for the right people. So when you meet the right people, you can learn more, you can grow. That's also self-awareness. You're aware of what you're interested in, and you're aware of the people that you're around. You have to be aware of them. That's just how it is. If you lack self-awareness, and your life may seem a lot difficult than what it needs to be, like I've said, because you're unaware of everything about you. I'm telling you. So my advice to you is you have to know who you are. You have to know how you think. You have to control your weaknesses. I don't care what nobody's saying. Somebody may try to hurt your feelings or whatever the case may be. You have to know how to control how you feel. Because if you do not know how to control how you feel, they will always get the best of you. Because they know what to say in order to get the best of you. That's why they keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Notice they never come with anything new. It's always the same thing. And then when you say you maneuver what they always say, they come with something else again. And when they know that that's the way how they can reach you, then they keep saying that. Because you can always put up a defense wall. But until they figure out what you're triggered by, again, then they keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again because they know. So my advice to you is you have to learn how to control how you feel. Like, if you can control your own mind, and you're not in someone else control, like you got self-control, then you'll be able to control your own emotions. If you can't control your own emotions, then people will eventually always get the best of you. That's just how it is. So my advice to you, like I've said, you have to learn stuff about you. You have to learn who you are. Spend time to know who you are, how you think, your strength, what you're driven by, what you can make happen, what you can't do. Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and start worrying about you. You have to be fully aware of what you're doing. That's it. So I hope this message was useful for some of you guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. I will be back doing more stuff. You go enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I post daily on them.